Good afternoon, everyone. So almost, I think everyone are here. Let me wait for a few more minutes. I think Sam are still trying the test. So I believe most of you are getting like better in your confidence, in your getting better in the performance, and also yeah, getting higher confidence level as well, right? So throughout the 2 weeks, last week we have gone through like I think around 11 or 12 questions. So this week will be lesser, right? So I'm also very proud of you guys. Most of you managed to get the correct answers. So today we will not be taking that long, right? So it will be about half an hour. So not too many questions, right? So that's a good news. And also just a reminder, so this Friday, Miss Judy, I think Dr. Nalaka may join if he's free. So this Friday, 4 to 5 p.m., we are going through the exam registration process and also the claiming, right? So AWS agreed to pay 50%. So student will be paying 50%. So about the payment procedures and the registration, this Friday, 4 to 5 p.m. So Miss Judy will be going through with us, right? And yeah, I will also, after Miss Judy, I will also share with you how you can take the test. So we plan for online tests. So it means like very similar to our mock test, but that will be, I think, yeah, I think last week, right? So last week, Miss Rosita also mentioned that. So we are most likely going for online tests, and we are quite flexible. So from 22nd to 25th, right? So we will give you this timeline so you can make it as a take-home assignment. So you can install the exam app, and after that you can try. Right? So no worries, I will go through with you step by step on this Friday. So this Friday, 4 to 5 p.m. So you managed to get the correct answer for availability zones and edge locations and the region, right? So that is good. But the only confusion part is about the VPC, right? So the networking and the VPC configurations are a little bit tricky, right? Because the questions are scenario based, right? So yeah, I will go through with you later. So I'm still looking at the results. Yeah, I will be sharing my screen shortly. Let me take another 1 more minute. I'm collecting the results. Okay, thanks everyone for taking time to attend the mod test and also getting good results, right? So not too many questions to go through, about only five pages. So it means about, I think 13 or 14 questions only, right? So that is a good progress. And 33 attempts. So maybe some of you couldn't manage to complete it, right? So because this is auto submit, right? So I think I forgot to mention that we are setting the timer and it will be auto submit. So it's very similar to our TPLMS, right? So I'm going to post scores, right? Because I already reviewed the answers. Right? So post scores. All right, so I will be going through the questions that most students didn't get it right. So for the HA and also availability, right? So most of you got the correct answer, so that's good. Only for question 8, right? So it's a little bit tricky. Yeah, and later I will also go through with you the difference between the direct connect and the transit gateway. So what are the usage and so on. So question 8, right? So question 8 is a little bit tricky. Some students went for this option D and some students went for option C. So they are quite similar. But if you look at the questions carefully, you may notice that these are the keywords. Highest redundancy, right? So in AWS, the redundancy is already provided, right? So you can take a look at this here. So I think we didn't cover this about the placement group, so that's okay. I was just showing you this diagram here. So where's that? Okay. Yeah, so I think most of you already got the idea about the region and the AZ, right? So usually for the ability zone, in short, we call it as the AZ. And even if you are looking at S3, you may notice that S3 also support multi-AZ deployment. So it means your S3 bucket will be replicated a few different ability zone, right? So but in S3 by default, you cannot choose the region. You can only take multi-AZ deployment. Then it will be automatically distributed to a few availability zones that you are working on. For example, if you are looking at East 1, right, US East 1, not Virginia, then it will auto create the S3 buckets in a few AZ here, right? So you cannot particularly select which AZ you want, right? So that is the auto provisioning. Right, so for example, if you are using US West, right, so that will be at Ohio, right? So US West will be Ohio, right? So 2AZ, right? So multi-AZ means it will be at least deployed to 2AZ. But here, the question is a bit tricky, right? So we have the region, and inside region, we have the AZ here, right? So at least there will be 3. But some big region, maybe there may be more than 3 AZ, right? So yeah, but typically is minimum is 3 AZ. But the question here is a little bit tricky because it's asking for the highest redundancy. So by default, AWS already gives you the redundancy because if you take this multi-zone AZ, multi-AZ deployment, then it will distribute your nodes to different zones, different AZ. But the question is asking for highest and the fault tolerance. So these are the key points here: highest redundancy and fault tolerance. So in this case, one region is not enough. So if you go through the options, you will also notice that 34. Okay. You will also notice that there are a few options. So you can go for ability zone. So again, we can go for the elimination methods. So this is about illustrate network interface. So that is totally not relevant. So we can strike it off. We are left with this 3. Single AZ is definitely no as well. So these A and B are not relevant. So we are left with this C or D. So if you compare C is within one region, but D is 2 regions. So in this case, because of this highest redundancy and fault tolerance, then we will go for 2AZ. Okay, so yeah, this is the keywords. And the other keywords could be like global commercial application. So they are running globally. So that's why we should go for 2 regions, right? So that will be highest redundancy. Okay, so hope that's okay. So if you do not have this 2 region, then you can safely go for 2AZ multi AZ in one region. But if you have this better option, so go for this better options, right? So that is a strategy. Okay, so that's question 8. And please feel free to chip in and just unmute your microphone if you need more clarification. Okay, so next I will be moving on to question 10. So question 10 is asking about, again, the DR, right? So that is about the disaster recovery. And again, here we will go for better options, right? So let's look at the question 10. All right. So this is not very clear. 2 AZ, okay, 2 AZ, but additional AZ in the AWS region for the disaster recovery. So this option is not clear, right? So it's not clear where we are running this DR site, whether it's the same region or different region. So it's not clear. So that's why we are not choosing that. And if you look at the option 2, 2 AZ in one region and using another region for the disaster recovery. So that is relevant. So if you look at the next one, so next one is only one region and local AWS region. So that is not correct. We do not have such terms called local AWS region. So that is totally out. So A and C are totally out. So B or D could be the correct answer. So if you look at the D, so that is 2 region, and also the third region. So that is not a proper setup. Usually 2 region should be good enough for highest redundancy and a fault tolerance. It's very rare, and usually we do not go for more than 2 regions. So 2 region is already good enough. So this 3 regions is not a possible setup, and even AWS were not allow you this kind of setting. So the most relevant answer will be this one, right? So run to AZ in one region and use the other region for the DR site, right? So that is the correct options. So sometimes it might be a bit confusing, and you may also need to check whether it's possible to set up or not, right? So that is the best option, but it's not a typical setup. So that's why we are not choosing this D. Okay, so hope you got the point, and let me know if you are in doubt. Okay, so hope this review session will be useful. I hope so, right? So now next we'll be moving on to question 31. So the rest are okay, right? So most of you managed to get it right. So you may also notice that usually I will go for those questions with mistakes. Student wrongly selected the individual options for like more than 10 students selected the wrong one. Then I will go through that. The rest, like 8, I will not go through. But let me know later if you still need me to clarify. And this is also not right. So PPC, again, so PPC is like an individual server. So we should deploy it at the AZ level. It's not region. So it will be deployed to the AZ, and after that, another AZ in another region. So the deployment is at the AZ. So AZ is the place that we are, the AWS is providing the data centers. So these are totally out, edge locations and corporate network. So edge location is always tied to the content delivery network and the global distributions like YouTube or those like social media site. Right. So but here we do not have such requirements. So next will be question 31. So the rest are okay. Yeah. So we'll be moving on to question 31. So that is good, right? So almost everyone got the correct answer. So question 31 is a bit tricky because it's asking for the security group that can grant unrestricted internet access to list of ports, right? So it's a bit tricky. You can do that using the security group, and you can also do that using the firewall manager. But firewall manager is more on like restricting the certain applications at the certain ports, right? But here the question is not about the configuration, is asking about the tools or the service automatically identifying. So firewall manager, you need manual configuration and you need to identify which ports you want to block and so on. But here the keyword here is automatic, right? So automatically identify. So that will be trusted advisor. So we have gone through that last week as well. So the trusted advisor will give you recommendation. So it's kind of like running on AI. And so they can identify very quickly and they can also detect those improper or incorrect configurations, right? So it will be surfaced out but very clearly on this dashboard, right? So it's very useful. Again, it can also give you estimation for cost and how to save costs and how to safeguard your applications, the best or the recommended configurations and so on. So it's very powerful. So you can use this trusted advisor even for your security configurations, right? So the keyword here is automatic, right? So the firewall manager is not automatic, so that's why this is not relevant, right? So but most of you selected this one, right? Because you see the security groups and the port number, right? So it's not right. So because of the keyword is automatic, right? So you should go for the trusted advisor. And the rest are totally not relevant, like Shield and the EC2, right? So they are not relevant. So that's 31. And next one is 42 because yeah, Sam selected this 11. 11 students selected this PPC. Oh, so someone just submitted. I think the 120 minutes is counting from the time that you went in, right? I think I allow up to 4:30, so that's why Sam stays submitting. Okay, so next one is 42. Okay, 42. So 42, 13 students selected this round one. The requirement is hybrid cloud architecture, and yeah, the keywords here is to access their AWS resources over the public internet, right? So they want to access it over the public internet. So these are the keywords, right? So if you want to access your AWS services over the public internet, then you should choose the AWS Direct Connect, right? So it's very similar to the VPN, right? But VPN, we should not choose it here because VPN is only for those encrypted, right? So if you want to have encrypted communication between your on-premise or between your computer, between your office to AWS over the public internet, then you can go for VPN, right? So site-to-site VPN. But here, there's no keywords called encrypted or secure communication. So that's why we should go for direct connect. So VPC NAT gateway is not a correct choice because that is part of your internet configurations in your VPC. So when you are setting up your VPC, if you want to open up to internet access, then you have to configure this one NAT gateway, right? So it's very similar to our optical network device connecting to the fiber optic network at your office or at your home, right? So it's like center fiber optic network kind of device here, but it is not for this requirements, right? So here is to access the AWS over the public internet. So it should be direct connect or site-to-site VPN, right? So here we do not have site-to-site VPN, so that's why direct connect is the most relevant choice. Right, so please feel free to chip in if you are in doubt. Okay, so next one is 56. So let's take a look at the 56. Yeah, so if you see the bigger pie, so it means the bigger slide, so it means these questions are good. Yeah, so that's also good. Yeah, so here could be a VPN connection, right? So that is to communicate between the on-premise and the AWS, right? So they are going to migrate their application to VPC. So you can also use AWS Direct Connect here and also a VPN connections. Okay, so next one is 56. Oh yeah, this 53 also some student didn't get it right. So again, oh yeah, correct. Here is encrypted connections. Okay, so I think that is my mistake. So that should be VPN. So just now I mentioned that if you are seeing encrypted network connections or secure network connection over the public internet, then you should go for VPN. So it's not direct connect. So 53, let me change. It should be VPN. Yeah, so the keyword here is encrypted connection. So for encrypted connection, direct connect is not good enough. So it should be VPN, right? So VPN or site-to-site VPN. Yeah, so that's right. 56. Okay, so 56 is asking you about the oh yeah, so that is a firewall connection. So the company needs a firewall or firewall to control the network connections to and fro. So they are going to access the EC2 instance. So they want to secure it. So they want to have the firewall. And they also mentioned that they are not going to control it at the subnet level. So if the requirement is at the subnet level, because they are using the same subnet, so to connection to and fro other instances that are in the same subnet. So if the requirement is not at the subnet level, then you can go for security group. So if the requirements is to control at the subnet level, then you will need network ACL. So network ACL is at the subnet level. But here they are going to just control at the firewall level, maybe at the port level. So in that case, security group will be good enough, right? So they mentioned that sub not required for subnet, right? So only if it's required for subnet, then you should go for network ACL, right? Because some students selected network ACL. Okay, so it's also a bit confusing. You can also use AWS WAF, right? So AWS WAF is more for hardware level, but here the requirement is just controlling at the EC2 instance, right? So then it will be good enough. So usually for WAF is at the hardware level, and we are going to control at the network devices or network controller card, or maybe at the gateway level. So, but here they are just mentioning about the EC2 instance. So EC2 instance, we even no need to go for the firewall because the EC2 instance is already inside the BBC. So in that case, security group will be good enough. So for those requirements about the WAF, they may specify about the specific requirement, like they are going to protect the SQL injection, they are going to protect like brute force attack, they are going to protect like zero-day attack and so on. So if you are seeing those kind of keywords related to the network level attack, those are cyber threat, then you need to go for WAF, right? So, but the other configurations, like you are trying to configure between BBC, EC2 instance, like database, and at the specific AWS service level, then the security group will be good enough. Okay, so but only when we are controlling at the network layer, at the network level, like secure the SQL injection or zero-day attack or brute force, then you may need WAF, right? So WAF is not required at this level. Okay, so that's 56. So you can, if you are in doubt, you still can refer to those materials. For those who like, some students requested for the PDF file, I will download from AWS Academy, and later I will share with you. So it's a bit strange. You cannot print it out, right? So I will try to print out for you. Usually you have to select the contents and then you can print from the browser. All right. So then, yeah, you should be able to print it, right? But you have to select a few pages. That is a bit challenging, but no worries. Later I will put this PDF file on Microsoft Teams so that you can make a reference. Okay, because I can download it directly here. Okay, so later I will share all these PDF files, so that will be good, even for your revision. Okay, so 56. So next one will be 59. So let me go to 59. Okay, so 59 also, most of you didn't get the correct answer. So take note that, yeah, you may also think this is the correct answer, transit gateway. So transit gateway is more than 2, right? So if we are talking about more than 2 BPC, like 100 BPC, or they are going to deploy fans of BPC, and they are going to add in new BPC to the existing BPC, then you need to use the transit gateway. So transit gateway is more than 2. But if we are only talking about 2 or 1 BPC, then we should not overkill. So BPC peering or PR BPC will be good enough, right? So we just need an endpoint to talk to each other and the peering. So that will be good enough. You should not need to go for transit gateway. So transit gateway is more than 2 BPC, right? So if we are talking about like 10 BPC or 100 BPC, or we are deploying those BPC for IoT devices like 1,000 of BPC, then you need to use the transit gateway. Or if you want to talk to these 100 BPC through one controller, then you can also need to configure the transit gateway. But if we are talking about like only 2 BPC, then you do not need that. The peering will be good enough. So peering is like trying to mirror or trying to talk to each other like throughout the endpoint here, right? So that is 2 BPC, right? So here we are only talking about 2 BPC. The keyword here is 2 BPC. Only if you have more than 2, then you will need transit gateway, right? So transit gateway is to handle more than 2, right? So 2, you just use a peering, right? So you can just direct connect from one PPC to another PPC through the peering, right? So yeah, that is a bit tricky. Okay, so that's a keyword here, 2 PPC. So if you have more than 2, then you will need transit gateway. Okay, so hope that clarifies. So the keywords here is 2 PPCs. Yeah, so question 60. Yeah, so again, here, site-to-site VPN, right? So site-to-site VPN is usually between the on-premise and the AWS resources. So in that case, you can also use the elimination method. So internet gateway is just to make sure your VPC can open up access to the internet. So that is for the VPC configurations, and it's totally not related. So that is out. Entity gateway is also not relevant here. Right, so is again for the VPC configuration to enable access to internet. Right? So that's not required. And yeah, so these two are relevant, transit gateway or the virtual private gateway. So you can also take a look here. So if you are going to create site to site VPN, so these are the requirements. Customer gateway and the target gateway. Right, so the customer gateway is to open access from the on-premise, the customer site here, and the target gateway is the customer gateway is on AWS, and the target gateway is your on-premise network. Right, so then you can either use virtual private gateway or the transit gateway. So transit gateway is more like if you are using a lot of VPC, then you will need transit gateways, right? But the requirements here is just site to site, right? So site to site means from your office to AWS. So there's nothing mentioned about the multi-web VPC, or there's no statements about the many VPC required for this case. So that's why you can ignore this. So customer gateway and virtual private gateway, that's like a VPN. So these two will be good enough. Okay, so transit gateway is if you are involving multi-web VPCs, then you will need transit gateway, right? So that's why we should not choose this. But anyway, this is also relevant, but the requirement here is not mentioning about the multi-web PPC, so that's why we should not select this. So customer gateway and the virtual private gateway. But if the requirements is mentioning that like multi-web PPC or like 100 or 200 PPC, then you should go for this. Okay. So 61 also I like to highlight a little bit here, because like some students selected this direct connect here. So again, the keyword here is encryption. the encrypted connection between on-premise and the AWS account. So I think we already see there's similar questions on top. So that's why we should go for site-to-site VPN. Yeah, so that's another keyword. We can call it as a AWS VPN or site-to-site VPN. So the keyword here is encrypted, right? So if we do not need encrypted, then you can straight away choose direct connect. Okay, so but the keyword here is encrypted, so that's why we should go for site-to-site VPN. Right, so that's the keywords here. Okay, so 64. So 64 is also a bit confusing, right? So 664 is to block the suspicious IP address, right? So yeah, so some students choose the network ACL again. So network ACL is at the subnet level, and usually network ACL will be used during the internet network. But here we are talking about the EC2 instance to block the suspicious IP address. So that should be done at the security group, right? So yeah, so that should be the security group. So usually, if you see this network ACL, there will be some requirements talking about the network and also the subnet. All right, so next is 65. So 65 is, yeah, again, the requirement is allow unrestricted access for the specific port. So what's the simplest way to do so? So some students selected the trusted advisor. So trusted advisor can also surface out these scenario, but the question here is asking you to go for the simplest way to do that, right? So it seems like we are going to work on the security group, right? So if any security group in AWS has been provisioned to allow unrestricted access for specific ports. Yeah, so the trusted advisor can surface out this as well. So these two are possible, but the keywords here is the simplest way. So the trusted advisor, you might need to go through the review, and yeah, sometimes it might be hidden behind the network configurations and so on. So it might not be very obvious, like showing the notifications, or it might not be highlighted. So the most easiest way is just to go into the EC2 security groups and just look at the network ACL and check are there any port the inbound rules for 000.0, right? So that is the easiest way. Okay. So yeah, both are relevant, but the keywords here will be the simplest way. So the simplest way is just to straight away go to the security group and look for this 00, right? So that will be simplest way. Yeah. But if you do not have this option, then you can go for the trusted advisor. Yeah, so sometimes the questions are a bit confusing. So in your actual test also, you may be seeing this kind of question. So there might be about 6 to 8 questions like this kind of format. So you can mark it as a review later. So once you have finished answering for all the questions, then later you can review it, right? So you can jump to that specific question and you can review it. Okay, so the keywords here is the simplest way. So I think that is simpler compared to the trusted advisor. Okay, so 67, yeah, I think 3 more. Yeah, 68 and 70. So 67, most students selected for this one, so that's why I need to go through. All right, so it consists of VPC, multiple subnets, and many EC2 instances and a subnet. So they want to restrict the inbound traffic to one particular EC2 without affecting the other EC2 instances. So again, take note that here we are not mentioning about the subnet level. So they are just mentioning about the EC2 here, right? So inbound traffic to open EC2. So that's why we will be going for the security group again. Oh, so sorry. I thought I share my screen. Okay, sometimes it may happen. So sorry. Yeah. So sorry. Yeah, thanks, Nathan. Okay, so you need to read the requirements very carefully. So the engineer wants to restrict inbound traffic to open EC2 instance without affecting the other EC2 instance. So they are just talking about the inbound traffic rules and at the EC2 level. So they are not mentioning about the network level. So that's why we should not go for network ACL. So network ACL is to control at the subnet level, right? So to control the specific subnet and to isolate this specific subnet to join to our main subnet or the other network, right? So that is kind of like intranet and within your network control and within your network boundary. So here we are not controlling at the network level. We are just controlling at the specific port for the EC2, right? So in that case, ACL is not required. Okay, so the security group will be good enough. Okay, so after 67, so next will be the 68. So again, so that is a little bit tricky as well. So high availability. So this is HA and low latency. And the requirement is failover to different regions, right? So that is the main requirements. You should be able to failover to the other region in case there's something happen to the primary site. So the failover can be done using the Route 53. So that's the correct choice. So Route 53 will have you to failover to the other region. So I think in the previous year in DAC subject, some students even configure this Route 53. Yeah, so that's a good experiment, right? So it will help you to redirect the incoming traffic to the other region. So that is the Route 53. So yeah, we already got one, and the other requirement is the HA and low latency. So HA and low latency cannot be done using the load balancer. So they know the load balancer is within the AZ within one region. So here the requirement is different region. So that's why this is totally out. So network load balancer is within same region, right? Within same region or within same AZ, but different placement group, right? So that is a network load balancer. So it cannot help you to fail over to the another region. So that's why is not relevant. So here the requirement is should be able to redirect to the other region. So that's why only Route 53 can help you to redirect to the another region using the IP or DNS. And this is also again totally out. So S3 transfer is more for like transferring the big data from your on-premise to AWS. So that is totally out. So these B and C are totally out. So application load balancer is worse, is even worse than this load balancer. So application load balancer is to load balance within the application, right? So it could be within one AZ and within maybe one EC2 instance, right? So that's the application load balancer. So the other way to take note is application load balancer is controlled by the software. It's not hardware. So network load balancer is using like hardware level and at the network level. So that is using the applications, right? So the load balancing is controlled by application. So it's more flexible, but is also prone to cyber threat and those the security is not that secure compared to the network load balancer. In terms of the performance, also network load balancer is better because it's watch the incoming traffic at the hardware level and it will straight away redirect to the relevant nodes. But here, the applications is collecting the data from the network level and then it will distribute the network accordingly. But application load balancer is easier for the beginners and easier to configure, but sometimes it might also cause a slowness, right? So that's why it's not recommended and it's totally out. Okay, so network load balancer is at least better. So NLP is better than ALB, right? So ALB might be slower. Okay, so these yeah, network load balancer, this A, B, C, and D are not relevant. So Route 53 and the global accelerator. So global accelerator will help you to achieve this HA and low latency. Okay. Yeah, so for failover, we can go for Route 53 and the HA and low latency can be achieved by using the global accelerator. Okay, because we are using the multiple regions. So when we are talking about the multiple regions, then you can also use this global accelerator. So it will also help with the different regions. Okay, so that's 68. And the last one is 70. So 70, yeah, again, most of you go for the CloudFront. Let me read. So the company is uploading the video and audio file to the centralized S3 bucket, right? So the keyword here is a centralized S3 buckets. And in this case, we can just tap on the transfer accelerator. We do not need to use a CloudFront. CloudFront is more for delivery. So if you are delivering those videos like YouTube, social medias, like TikTok, then CDN, the content delivery network, will be using the CloudFront, right? So like they can buffer, the client can buffer, the client can stream all these videos and the contents very fast if you are using the CloudFront, right? So that's more for the content delivery. So here we are not delivering the contents to the clients. We are uploading the file, right? So it's not downloading. So the CloudFront is more for delivering the contents and more for the clients, more for the consumer, right? So when they watch the contents on their mobile or on the go or on their laptop, then they can straight away watch the videos, need not to wait for the buffer and so on. So that's the CloudFront. But here we are not talking about the content delivery. We are talking about the uploading the files. Right, and again, some more is on the S3 buckets, right? So in this case, Transport Accelerator will help you, right? So, and so these are a bit sticky, like from locations that are geographically dispersed, right? So again, we are talking about the transfer and to optimize the transfer speed, right? So that is the upload, it's not download. So the content delivery, like CloudFront, is more for the downloading the content. Okay, but here is uploading, and some more is to the S3. So that's why this is the most relevant one. Okay, so I think that's all for today. So we received 35 responses. So are there any questions? Okay, also thank you that I hope you are able to see the results because we configured it to show automatically after you submitted the um, test, right? So let me double check again. Also, let me hide student name. All right, so we know that this time this round for this week only 33 returned, maybe because too many questions within 2 hours, so maybe some couldn't manage to complete it, but that's okay. You still can see the questions and you can practice again, but you might not be able to take the test again, right? So yeah, please try to be prepared. For next week, we will be only looking into one module, right? So let me bring up the study plan again.
Hello, Mr.
Hello,
Zen.
hello, Nathan. Yes.
So I wanted to ask, I think you will need to change you will need to like return the assignment. Otherwise, when we click, it will say that you have already
It's not available,
submitted
is
the
it?
form.
Oh,
Yeah, it
I
will
see, I
say that you
see.
submitted the form, but you can't.
Okay, okay, noted. I thought you can see it. Okay, then I will return it because some student didn't submit and I do not want to assign 0 marks. But it's okay. Yeah, later I will return it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thanks a lot.
Okay, no worries. Okay, so next week we'll be only looking into module 6 because module 6 is a little bit heavy and it's more on the compute, and you need to spend some time on that, and there are so many videos to watch as well. So, but we are also trying to slow down a little bit because these 2 weeks are quite packed, and next week because we also have TP Info Deck Day, so that's why we want to slow down a little bit, right? It's because we are preparing for the TP Info Deck Day as well. So only one module between. Yeah, you can also take a rest tomorrow, and you can spend some time between these 3 days or 4 days to complete the module 6, and you can try it on 11 March. And also take note that we are monitoring your progress because we also very concerned about the payment, right? So because you have to pay $50, and in case you could not manage to pass, then you have to retake again and so on. So to minimize those risk, we are monitoring your progress, and because the actual test you have to get correct answer for 70%, so that is a bit challenging, right? So yeah, I will follow with you separately, especially for those students that couldn't manage to participate for past 2 weeks, and I will check again whether they are willing to go for the test. And for those who couldn't manage to pass the last week test and this week test, I will also follow up with you separately, right? Because we have to set some targets, like by 15, right? So because we are going for online tests, then we do not need to rush for the registration, because if we are going for the on-site or the taking the test at the test venue, then we have to book the venue. Then we need to register earlier. But if we are going for online test, then it will be more flexible. Okay, so we are trying to cut off like around 15, to check and to say yes or no, like go or no go for the test, right? So we will share with you more details on this Friday, right? So this Friday, I will send you the calendar invite. This Friday, 4 to 5 p.m., we will go through with you for the exam registrations and also for the IMPREP claim. So Miss Judy will be sharing with us about the registration, the payment procedure, and so on. Okay. Then after that, I will go through with you for the scheduling, right? So how you can schedule and how you can make the payments, and how you can set up the exam app on your computer. Okay. Yeah, so that is the plan for this Friday. So are there any questions? Okay, so one from Quan Yu. Okay, for question 10. So let me go back to question 10. Yeah, so please don't be hesitate to ask. Okay, so for question 2, they are asking for HA and the disaster recovery. So HA, definitely we will need 2 regions. So the answers, you can take a look here. So we will need 2 AZ for this requirement. So HA, at least we should have 2 AZ, right? So 2 AZ will help you to achieve this HA, right? So you can go for the option with 2 AZ, right? So this is totally out, 2 region. And that region for DI is also not required, so that will be super expensive, and usually we do not have that kind of setup. So this option is not correct, right? That's why we will simply go for 2 AZ, right? So 2 AZ and 1 extra region for the disaster DR, right? So you may be wondering why we are selecting the other region, because usually for like if you are choosing the multi-AZ or the availability zone like within Singapore, right? So we also need to care for the disaster, like something like flat, right? So last time in US, like New York and the other a few city, there's a flat, right? So the flat will also hit some data center. So some radio station also shut down because of the flat and the weather, the disaster, the natural disaster. So usually for natural disaster, we cannot say that it will only happen to a few area in that region. So that's why when we are talking about the DR, usually we trying to make it very safe, right? So for DR, we should go for another region, right? So unless you are talking about China, so China is quite big, but China also, when we are talking about the disaster recovery, it's not only for the natural disaster and the weather. So sometimes it could be political issues and those like related to the those like politics and so on. So usually for DR, we should go for the other region, the other region. So that's why for HA, 2AZ will be good enough, but for the DR, the good practice is usually we go for another region. So that's why this 2AZ, but yeah, so you can take a look at this option C, 2AZ, but the local region. So local region is again referring to the same region. So that's why it's not relevant. And D is also not relevant. So usually we should not choose this. We do not choose that region. And so you can choose whether A or B. So A is also not very clear, right? So additional availability zone in the region. So it seems like another AZ in the same region. So that's why this A is also not relevant. So the best option for us will be B here, right? So 2AZ and another region for DR. So hope that clarifies. Let me know if you are stay confused. Okay, so hope for Kuan Yu, I think that's okay, right? We usually do not choose 3 regions, so 2 regions should be good enough. Okay, so Ray Yan, sorry, Ashwin is asking for the 58. Okay, so 58. So 58, okay. I think we did not cover that 58. So 58 is VIF. So VIF is a virtual interface. Okay, so again, so that is connecting VIF in interface. So VIF is usually open from your VPC, right? So they want to reach to this VIF from their office, from their on-premise data center. So the keyword here is directly, right? So directly to VPC here. Oh, okay. So, okay. So in this case, on-premise to VPC. So it's not from VPC to VPC. Okay, so I think the question is not right here. So that should be AWS Direct Connect. So from your company, you can reach to this using the Direct Connect. Yeah, thanks for highlighting that. So 58 should be Direct Connect. Yeah, thanks for highlighting that. Should be Direct Connect. Okay, yeah, thanks for highlighting that. Should be Direct Connect. Okay, so any other questions? Yeah, because this is a little bit tricky. So if we are talking about the BIF from one PPC to another PPC, then you should go for peering, right? So, but here it's not from PPC to PPC, it's from on-premise to PPC. So that's why direct connect will be the correct one. So the rest are not relevant, like global accelerator, private link, and yeah, the PPC peering is from PPC to PPC. So here is from your on-premise network. So that's why it should be direct connect. Yeah. Yeah, so I think I missed answer question. So if you are dealing with multi-web PPC, more than 2, then you should choose the transit gateway. So transit gateway is to control and to talk to those multi-web PPC through a controller. Right? So transit gateway will act as a controller or the centralized place, like the spokesperson or the middleman, right? So from your on-premise, if you are talking to the multi-web PPC, then you can go to the transit gateway. So transit gateway will help you to route you to the relevant PPC, right? So that should be transit gateway. Okay, so any other questions? Okay, so if not, then I will not drag your time. So the session is recorded anyway. If you are in doubt, you can later rewatch the questions and yeah, discussions. So I will send you the calendar invite for this Friday. But anyway, no worries if you cannot join. we will record the sessions. Okay, so see you guys on this Friday. And yeah, bye bye for now.